Hey everyone, and welcome to The Explainer. Today we're diving into something really cool, a tangible plan for a different kind of future. And listen, this isn't some pie-in-the-sky fantasy. It's a real, practical playbook for building a world that's fairer and more connected. It's called Community. And honestly, it all starts with a feeling that I bet every single one of us has had. You know that feeling, right? Where you're kind of pulled between what's good for you and what's good for everyone else. It happens all the time. At work, in your neighborhood, even with family. Well, it turns out that exact tension isn't just a random feeling. It's actually at the very heart of how our societies are put together.
And this core conflict, it actually has a name. In fact, it has two. The playbook we're looking at today calls it a constant dance between two totally different ways of thinking: community-ethos and power logic.
Okay, so let's break that down. On one side, you've got community ethos. This is all about shared well-being, having each other's backs and feeling responsible for the whole group. The playbook calls it the logic of a potluck dinner, which I love. Then you have the total opposite, power logic. This is all about hierarchy, getting a personal advantage, and climbing the ladder. It's a mindset that's laser-focused on control and coming out on top. And these two logics, they're everywhere, shaping our economy, our technology, pretty much everything.
Now, it's super easy to just blame money for all our problems, right? But this playbook has a different take. It says money itself isn't the issue. It's neutral, just the field we're playing on. What really matters is the direction we point it. Are we using it to build things for everyone, or is it just getting hoarded for personal gain and control?
And believe me, those choices have huge consequences. In fact, the playbook lays out something called a futures compass to help us see exactly where we might be headed by the year 2040 if we keep going down our current path. All right, so check this out. This chart shows us the odds for 5 different futures. Now, the most likely one is called conservative continuity, which is basically just more of the same. But look closer. None of these futures are a sure thing. And that right there is the most important part. The future is not written in stone. What we do today can actually change these numbers, shift these odds.
So what happens if that power logic really takes over? Well, we could be looking at something called systemic breakdown. And it's as bad as it sounds. We're talking about a future where trust completely disappears, our rights get stripped away, and conflict is just normal. Everything starts to fall apart. But, and this is a big but, there's a totally different possibility, a future of radical transformation. This is where we make a hard pivot toward that community way of thinking. In this world, trust, rights, and peace don't just survive, they actually thrive. So the stakes are super high, but the reward for choosing a better path, it's huge. Okay, so the big question is, how do we actually get there? How do we steer toward that more hopeful future? Well, that brings us to the heart of this whole thing, the community playbook. It's the strategy designed to do exactly that. The strategy is actually broken down into some really smart steps. First, you start super small and real with something called microcommons. Think of it like shared stuff in your local community. Then, to show that people are helping each other out, you use a trust chain, which is just a simple public way of keeping score. From there, it's all about telling the real stories of what's working. That's the story first part. Then you figure out how to do more of what works in Catalyst Labs, pay for it with values-aligned revenue, and then you connect with other groups to make a bigger impact by building narrative bridges. It's a really cool progression. And this quote, I think, just nails the whole philosophy of the playbook. It says to start with the least glamorous asset. I mean, think about that. Forget the big, flashy projects that get all the attention. The advice here is to start with something practical, maybe even something a little bit boring, because that's how you build real, solid trust that actually lasts. And this isn't just a bunch of nice ideas on paper. The playbook takes that whole philosophy and turns it into a concrete plan, right down to what you should be doing in the very first 90 days. And man, this plan really hits the ground running. We're talking launching 2 small community projects in the first 2 weeks. By week 4, you're already sharing stories about what's happening. The whole idea is to make small bets, get quick, visible wins, and build that momentum right from the get-go. It makes progress feel real,
But here's what's so important to get. This plan isn't about chasing numbers on a spreadsheet or hitting some abstract target. No, it's about changing how a community feels to the people who actually live there. It's about how it functions day to day.
And a huge piece of that puzzle is just being transparent. I mean, look at this fairness report. It's so simple. It's one page, written in plain English, anyone can understand. No confusing jargon, nothing buried in the fine print. It just says, here's the money that came in, here's where it went, here are the decisions we made, and here's the impact it had. That's it.
So this is really the key takeaway here. Success isn't about how many people signed up or how many clicks you got. It's about real human outcomes. Can people literally see that their effort is being returned? Do they genuinely feel safer and more connected? Can the group actually get things done faster together? That's the real measure of success.
Which, of course, brings us to the most important question of all. This playbook isn't something to just read and put on a shelf. It's meant to be a starting gun. So, what do we do now? What's our next move?
And really, the answer is an open invitation. You can go to community.org right now and dig into the full playbook. You can even get involved in a project that's already up and running. But here's the other cool part. If this specific plan isn't exactly the future you want to see, the tools are there for you. You can literally create a different community room, build a different plan for the future you want to be a part of. Because at the end of the day, that's what this is all about. It's a reminder that we have a choice. And frankly, it's a choice we've always had. It's truly up to us, but then it always has been. Because communities were here first, and will be here after, and the decision has always been ours when we need to take it. So let's take it together. Whenever you're ready, the door is always open.